The good news keeps on rolling in for our Minnesota Vikings. What's going on, guys? Welcome in the Vikings Now by Chad Sports. My name is Patrick Siepman. Coming up on today's show, we got 3 topics. First off, we're going to dive into some deep analytics and go over some film on what has made the Vikings defense truly special this season. And then we do have some good news on a Jordan Addison DUI update. We got his court date released, so it's looking like a suspension won't happen this year, but most likely next. And then also, I want to go over some Super Bowl odds and some playoff odds for our favorite football team, as I actually do have a path to the Super Bowl that personally would, be a perfect story for the Minnesota Vikings this season. But before we dive into that, guys, help us reach 36,000 subscribers here on the channel. We just need 230 more of you guys to hit that sub button. So if you guys haven't already and want to get the latest around your favorite football team, hit that sub button, lock us in. I would really appreciate it. And plus, if we get a 36K before the Lions game, that would be absolutely awesome. So first off, let's talk about the Vikings defense. What makes it legit? What makes it the best in the National Football League? Well, there's a number of reasons for that. But how do the Vikings rank out just in terms of the broad numbers so far? So yards per game, they are ranked 18th, and pass yards per game, they are ranked 30th. But I think a big reason for this being, as the Vikings throughout the first 5 games of the season, they've absolutely blitzed teams, and then they start playing from behind. They start throwing the ball a whole lot more, and that's why the Vikings are their defense has actually allowed the most pass attempts per game. So, I'm not really too worried about the pass yards being ranked 30th and, the yards per game being ranked 19th. But the stats I love: rush yards per game, only giving up 67, points per game, 4th in the league, 3rd down percentage. We know that's Flores' bread and butter. They rank top 5, but I did see this stat put out there. It's called havoc rate. So this was coming in from the 33rd team. This combines sacks, forced fumbles, interceptions, tackles for loss, and PBUs. And the Vikings are 3rd in this. And actually, shout out to the New York Giants. They're ranked 2nd. But, funny enough, for everybody that is complaining about the Vikings' offensive struggles so far, look at the other 3 teams that are listed here. The San Francisco 49ers, they're 4th. Texans, 8th. New York Jets, 10th. The Vikings are the 6th-rated offense in the league so far, and they've played 3 of the better defenses in the National Football League. But even goes farther for that with this football team. Like yards per play, they're only giving up 4.8 yards per play, which ranks 5th in the NFL. Points per play, 0.22, which is actually 2nd in the whole league. And then touchdowns per game, they're only giving up 1.8. That's 7th in the league. And I actually saw a stat yesterday. The Vikings have gave up, I think it was the least amount of games with 17 or more points this year, and they've also had the most games where they scored 23 plus. But let's just dive into some film here. What makes this defense so special? So we're gonna highlight this Andrew Van Ginkel pick against Aaron Rodgers yet again. And what makes this play so special is that Flores gives these guys kind of the leeway to make their own decision. So right here, this is supposed to be cover 0, all-out blitz. But Van Ginkel, being the smart, high IQ football guy he is, he knew that if he could get this right guard to engage, it would leave Patrick Jones one-on-one. So he just kind of stunted, ran back, and then we get to the next one. Van Ginkel was able to just play that passing lane very well. I'll tell you what. Yes, I think this is a scheme thing. But what makes this, again, why Van Ginkel was such a perfect scheme fit with Flores, he's got some of the best, reaction skills in the NFL. This is Rodgers 4 yards in front of him, just throwing a missile on an in route. And Van Ginkel, with the soft hands he has, he's able to throw him up, make the catch, and then he took it down the left sideline for a touchdown. But I do want to highlight this other play. So this was coming in on 3rd and 13, and what I love the most about this is the Vikings are not showing pressure at all. They got 5 guys lined up. Metellus right here, he could be, disguised a little bit, but I love this, the slot corner up here. I think that's Shaq Griffin. That's Byron Murphy, actually. He's up here. He's kind of showing like he's coming. Then we get to the next screen. The Vikings only ended up bringing 4. Blake Cashman, who was up on the line of scrimmage, he pulled back, was manning up on Breece Hall, and then same with Metellus down here. He was going to take the linebacker or the tight end once he was flaring out. And then what I love here, you can kind of see it. What makes the Vikings defense so special, and why I think the high IQ matters so much on these players, they are here. You want to actually go back to that real quick. So right here, the Vikings, he's in trail coverage right here. Stephon Gilmore, Byron Murphy, they're some of the best in the league in running that because they know the safety help over the top of Harrison Smith, like Josh Metellus, they'll be able to play it. So having these guys, it's a combination of everything here. And that's what I think, is what makes this defense so special, and it gets me to this. Like, what is the sauce? Like, because you can have talent, you can have a great defensive play caller, but it's all got to come together, and I think it starts off with the great run defense. Like, the Vikings rank second in the league in taking away the run, and that is my one concern about a team like the Detroit Lions coming to town, is they are such a physical and dominant team on the ground. If they're able to push this defense back, have them playing on their heels, I would like to see the Vikings defense playing that type of situation. Instead, they're always playing on their toes right now. They're getting these teams in the 2nd and 10s, 3rd and 7s on a consistent basis, and then you lead them in the 2nd and 10s. That's when the high IQ players come involved. Like, having guys that, like Van Ginkel, who you give him that leeway, you give him that freedom where if he recognizes what Rodgers is doing, he can bail off. And I think that's so key, because when you go on film, if you're a team preparing for this defense and you can look at any type of set and you see the same play over and over again, but guys are doing different things on different plays, it's very, very challenging, to prepare for. And that gets into the last one, Brian Flores. And, I guess the great news from talking about this would be, the Vikings do have, in my opinion, first or second best defensive play caller in the league, right behind Spags, in my opinion, for Flores. And, I really hope the Vikings are able to keep him this offseason. I don't know if he will get a head coaching job with the off-the-field stuff with the NFL owners. So, we'll have to really wait and see. But Brian Flores, I think he's a huge contributor to the pressure rankings for the Vikings. I mean, they have a 15 pressure lead on who is in second in the NFL right now, which is the Buccaneers. Packers actually are at 5th right now with 69 pressures. But, where do I rank the Vikings defense compared to the rest of the National Football League? I got to have them number 1. I think they've played the toughest schedule in terms of offensive they have faced, and I just think they've put the best film out there so far. But number 2, I got to go with the Chiefs. You got an elite play caller in Spags. They're a little different than the Vikings, where they rely on their blue chippers. Like, they rely on guys like Chris Jones, where the Vikings don't have a Chris Jones. So it's more of a full team effort defensively. And then number 3, I got the Steelers. I mean, what Mike Tomlin and that crew, TJ Watt over there, like TJ Watt might be the best, non-quarterback in football, either him, Jefferson, even a guy like Garrett or one of these guys. But TJ Watt has been very, very dominant this season. But this is how I would rank it. I would go Vikes number 1, Chiefs 2, Steelers 3. But what say you guys? Do the Vikings have the best defense in the NFL? Give me a Y for yes or an N for no down below in the comments section. This will be the pinned comment on today's show. So if YouTube throws an ad break your way, sit back, let it play, and answer today's pinned comment. All right, what's the update around Jordan Addison and his DUI that occurred right before training camp this offseason? Well, Kevin Seifert, beat reporter for the Minnesota Vikings, tweeted this out, saying the arraignment and plea hearing for Vikings wide receiver Jordan Addison, stemming from 2 misdemeanor charges in July for DUI, is now scheduled for December 3rd, according to Superior Court of California Online Records. Had been previously scheduled for Monday. So this got pushed back, and I guess the good thing here is that this should get resolved at the end of the year. It's going to be a long process. Like, just because a court date starts December, it's not means they're going to have, a full conviction within the next month. Like, this will be down the road. So I'm assuming Addison next season will be suspended for the first 3 games. I don't think the NFL would step in and suspend him, at the later half of the year, potentially for a playoff game. I just don't think they're going to do that. And that's great news for the Vikings, because Addison is one of the most talented football players on this team. And he's had a good start to the year for the, opportunities he's been given. I mean, 9 receptions, just under 150 yards. He's a deep play threat this year, more than once he was, last season. But he does have 2 total touchdowns on the year. But, my take to Kevin O'Connell and my, not concern, but what I would tell him was just get Jordan Addison the ball more. Like, he's a hell of a football player. He's a first-round talent for a reason. And I understand, like, you want to get, Jalen Naylor, Josh Oliver, the running backs involved in the passing game. But I still think 70% of the target share should go towards Jefferson and Addison. Then you have Hott get the other 20, and then the rest of the guys get the other 10. That's just how I would do it. He is too talented not to get him the ball, at least 10 or at least 8 to 10 targets a game. Like, the man's a playmaker. So if you guys want Jordan Addison to get more touches, don't jinx it for us. I'd appreciate it. If you guys could hit that thumbs up icon, trying to get the pulse of the fan base a little bit. Maybe you think Addison is getting, just enough touches and you guys disagree with me. But hey, if you guys agree, hit that thumbs up icon. Now, we'll dive into the Super Bowl odds here in a second, but first off, got to tell you guys about today's presenting sponsor, and that is PrizePicks. If you guys download the PrizePicks app, use promo code CLNS. You guys will get $50 instantly when you play just $5. And the best part is, you don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. So Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks. Now, Thursday Night Football tonight, I already got a lineup in play. It's a $15 power play. Now, what I love about these power plays, even if you are, or actually flex plays, a power play is when you're going all in for this one. So I'm taking the less on Brandon Ayuk receiving yards at 65.5. I'm going to take the more on Debo's receiving yards. Then I think DK, after struggling versus the Giants last week, I think he's going to find the end zone today. So that's a lineup I'm rolling with. If you guys want to fade it or ride with it, just do it at Prize Picks and sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5, and you don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. So shout out to Prize Picks for sponsoring today's show. Prize Picks, run your game. All right, let's talk about the Vikings Super Bowl chances. How does it stand right now? So, obviously Super Bowl taking place in New Orleans this year. How sweet would it be for the Vikings to have it really come full circle and, win a Super Bowl in New Orleans? It would be awesome. But let's take a look at the NFC playoff picture right now. So, Vikings, obviously number 1 as it stands right now. And then there would actually be an NFC East matchup in the wildcard round between the Commanders and the Cowboys. Right now it's the Falcons hosting the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, so another divisional game. And then it's the Lions. They would have to go on the road to Seattle. But if this is the matchup, or if this is how the playoffs turn out, I would love this because I actually think the Cowboys would go into Washington and win that football game. And then that means the Vikings would be hoisting Mike Zimmer and Dallas coming to town. So I would like that. But where do the odds stand right now? So the Vikings, they have an 88% chance to make the playoffs, a 50% chance to win the division, a 35% chance to land the 1 seed. And right now they get the best odds to make the Super Bowl in the NFC at 18%. Lions are right behind them. Then we got the Packers right there as well, third in the division. And, shout out the Commanders. They've had a great start. And Kirk Cousins, our good old friend, down there in Atlanta. But, my take around this game coming up versus the Detroit Lions, Week 7, this is game of the year so far for the Vikings. Not only does this impact NFC North kind of standings at the last second half of the year, but this will have number 1 seed impact. Like, I truly, truly do believe whoever wins the NFC North will get a first-round bye in the playoffs. Like, I fully stand by that. So beating the Packers was huge in Lambeau. Now if you could go beat the Lions at home, start 2-0 in the division, it would be huge. But I want to share with you guys this. So I was just thinking, totally optimistic view here. Drinking purple Kool-Aid. What is my dream scenario for the playoffs? So starting off, Vikings land the number 1 seed. I think the Vikes are going to go 14-3 then the season. I think they could lose the game to the Rams on Thursday night. Maybe you drop one of the divisional games versus the Bears, Packers, and the Lions. But that's where I have it standing right now. And second, I would love this. The Vikings host the Cowboys in the divisional round. I think Kevin O'Connell would absolutely dice up Mike Zimmer and that defense. And also Mike McCarthy going against Brian Flores with the lack of weapons that Dallas has outside of CeeDee Lamb, I think would be a very tough matchup. Plus, they're traveling up to Minnesota. I would love our chances in that football game. And then third for me, I'd probably have to go beat the Packers or Lions in NFC Championship game. I will throw a third out there. The Falcons would be fun as well if it was Kirk Cousins coming back to Minneapolis. The only thing I'll say about that is I would have a heart attack during that entire game, because could you imagine if Kirk went to Minnesota and won a playoff game? I mean, the Vikings fans would be in shambles, me included in that. But lastly, this would be my dream. The Kansas City Chiefs roll into the Super Bowl undefeated, 18-0. And the Vikings get 19-0 would be, and the Vikings get a massive win and stop the Chiefs from being the first undefeated team, stop the Chiefs from being the first team to three-peat in the NFL, and then that man Nick Wright, who has been throwing all types of shade at our favorite football team, would look his takes would look bad. But I'll ask you guys this. Predict the Vikings record for the rest of the season. I got them going 14-3, but you guys let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. I would really appreciate it. And also, I am on Twitter. Handle is @PatSeeps. Give me a follow over there, and I'll give you guys a follow right back. But we'll see you guys next time. Skol Vikes.